Imperial Presidency. When throughout history, the office of president continuously becomes more powerful. This timeline represents the development of the Imperial Presidency, a coined term by Arthur Schlesinger. Starting in 1970, President Nixon authorized Army intelligence personnel to spy on left-wing movements that went against his political party's ideas, which led to an investigation. In 1973, Arthur Schlesinger coined the term Imperial Presidency when news of the Nixon investigation and what Nixon did was popularized. He said that Nixon represented the slow but ever-increasing executive power. Then, in 1973, Congress passed the War Powers Act, which restricted powers of the executive office, stating that the president cannot declare war without first informing Congress and receiving their approval. Beginning with Carter in 1979, no president has followed the War Powers Act or taken it seriously, which shows how the executive power continues to increase. In 1974, the Nixon scandal broke. This scandal was called the Watergate scandal, in which Nixon stole some papers from a building, and he attempted to get out of trouble by using executive privilege to not disclose anything threatening the safety of the nation. However, the Supreme Court ruled in U.S. v. Nixon that he could not reply, well, when the president does it, that means that it is not illegal. Frost says, by definition, and Nixon replies, exactly. If the president, for example, approves something because of the national security or because of a threat to internal peace in order of significant magnitude, then the president's decision in that instance is one that enables those who carry it out to carry it out without violating a law. Otherwise, they're in an impossible position. Frost says, the point is, the dividing line is the president's judgment. And Nixon replies, yes. And so that one does not get the impression that a president can run amok in this country and get away with it. We have in mind that a president has to come up before the electorate. We also have in mind that a president has to get appropriations, for example, funds, from the Congress. This concludes the excerpt. In 1978, President Carter signed the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act. This act prohibited the executive branch from executing unwarranted searches and surveillance. President Clinton in 1994 and President Bush in 2005 disregarded this act, and so the power of the Imperial Presidency is ever increased. Some say that President Obama is the return of an era of Imperial Presidency. He has inspired the creation of a law which will be put to vote under the title of Enforce the Law Act. This stands for Executive needs to faithfully observe and respect congressional enactments. Imperial presidency is a term used to describe the modern presidency of the United States. It became popular in the 1960s and served as the title of a 1973 volume by historian Arthur M. Schlesinger, Jr., who wrote the Imperial Presidency out of two concerns. The first concern was that the U.S. presidency was out of control, and the second was that the presidency had exceeded the constitutional limits. It was based off a number of observations. In the 1930s, the President of the United States had few staff, most of them based in the U.S. Capitol where the President has always had an office. The Oval Office is still used when the President is in the country and not traveling, but is most often used for ceremonial occasions. But in the 19th and early 20th centuries, presidents were more regularly based there with a small staff. However, Franklin Delano Roosevelt's leadership during the Great Depression and World War II changed the presidency. His leadership during the Great Depression and World War II helped to develop a new age of electronic media. The growth of executive agencies under the New Deal, his brain trust advisors, and the creation of the executive office of the president in 1939 led to a transformation of the presidency. The president has a large executive staff now who are most often crowded in the West Wing, basement of the White House, or in the Eisenhower Executive Office building, which is beside the White House and used by the Departments of Defense and State. Progressive overcrowding in the West Wing led President Richard Nixon to convert the former presidential swimming pool into a press room. This is the Imperial Presidency.